Meeting is being live streamed. చెప్తున్నారు చూద్దాం ఎవరిది ఈరోజు
మ్యూట్ లో ఉంది కదా.
సరే
हरे कृष्ण माता जी।
हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे राम हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। Not able to hear you, Mekha. Hare Krishna.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you now. Sorry. Okay. Thank you for saying that, Mataji.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Today we'll be doing Canto 1, Chapter 11 and Chapter 12, glorification of the two chapters. So Chapter 11 is going to be done by Rachna Mataji, and then Chapter 12 will be by Amish Prabhuji. So without further ado now, we can get started. So Rachna Mataji, do you want to start off with yours?
Okay. Hare Krishna, everyone, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and assembled devotees. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Ajnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadankitam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanutam Sham He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rushabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today I am presenting chapter 11, Lord Krishna's entrance into Dwarka. In this chapter, Sutta Goswami says, upon reaching the border of his most prosperous metropolis, known as the country of the Anarthas, the Lord sounded his auspicious conch shell, heralding his arrival and apparently specifying the dejection of the inhabitants. The beloved Lord was away from his own prosperous metropolis of Dwarka for a considerably long period because of the battle of Kurukshetra. And thus all the inhabitants were overcome with melancholia due to the separation. When the Lord descends on the earth, his eternal associates also come with him. Such associates of the Lord are eternally liberated souls, and they cannot bear the separation of the Lord even for a moment because of intense affection for the Lord. The white and fat gold conch shell being gripped by the hand of Lord Krishna, sounded by him, appeared to be reddened by the touch of his transcendental lips. It seemed that a white swan was playing in the stems of red lotus flowers. The citizens of Dwarka, having heard that sound which threatens fear personified in the material world, began to run towards him fast, just to have a long desired audience with the Lord, who is the protector of all devotees. The citizens arrived before the Lord with their respective presentations, offering them to the fully satisfied and self-sufficient one, who by his own potency incessantly supplies others. These presentations were like the offerings of a lamp to the sun. Yet the citizens began to speak in ecstatic language to receive the Lord, just as words welcome their guardian and father. The citizen says, "O Lord, you are worshipped by all demigods like Brahma, the four Sanas, and even the King of Heaven. You are the ultimate rest for those who are really aspiring to achieve the highest benefit of life. You are the supreme transcendental Lord, and inevitable time cannot exert its influence upon you. O Creator of the universe, you are our Mother, Well-wisher, Lord, Father, spiritual master, and worshipable deity. By following in your footsteps, we have become successful in every respect. We pray, therefore, that you continue to bless us with your mercy. It is our good luck that we have come again today under your protection by your presence. For your Lordship rarely visits even the denizens of heaven. Now it is possible for us to look into your smiling face, which is full of affectionate glances. We can now see your transcendental form, full of all the auspiciousness. The Lord in his eternal personal form can be seen only by the pure devotees. The Lord is never impersonal, but he is the supreme absolute personality of Godhead, possible to be visited by devotional service face to face, which is impossible to be done even by the denizens of higher planets. O lotus-eyed Lord, whenever you go away to Mathura, Vrindavana, or Hastinapura to meet your friends and relatives, every moment of your absence seems like a million years. O infallible one, at that time our eyes become useless as if bereft of sun. "O Master, if you live abroad all the time, then we cannot look at your attractive face, whose smiles vanquish all our sufferings. How can we exist without your presence?" Upon hearing their speeches, the Lord, who is very kind to the citizens and the devotees, entered the city of Dwarka and acknowledged all their greetings by casting his transcendental glance over them. As Bhogavati, the capital of Nagaloka, is protected by the Nagas, so was Dwaraka protected by the descendants of Rushni, Bhoja, Madhu, Dasharha, Harha, Kukura, Andaka, etc., who were as strong as Lord Krishna. The city of Dwarakapuri was filled with the opulences of all seasons. There were hermitages, orchards, flower gardens, parks, and reservoirs of water breeding lotus flowers all over. The city gateway, the household doors, and festooned arches along the roads were all nicely decorated with festive signs like plantain trees and mango leaves, all to welcome the Lord. Flags, garlands, and painted signs and slogans all combined to shade the sunshine. The highways, subways, lanes, markets, and public meeting places were all thoroughly cleansed and then moistened with scented water. And to welcome the Lord, fruits, flowers, and unbroken seeds were streamed everywhere. In each and every door of the residential houses, auspicious things like curd, unbroken fruits, sugar cane, and full water pots, and articles for worship, incense, and candles were all displayed. On hearing that the most dear Krishna was approaching, Dwaraka Dhama, a magnanimous Vasudeva, Akrura, Ugrasena, and the superhumanly powerful Balarama, Pradyumna, Charu Deshna, and Samba, the son of Jambavati, all extremely happy, abandoned resting, sitting, and dining. They hastened towards the Lord on chariots with brahmanas bearing flowers. Before them were elephants, emblems of good fortune. Conchs and bangals were sounded, and the Vedic hymns were chanted. Thus they offered their respects, which were saturated with affection. At the same time, many hundreds of well-known prostitutes began to proceed on various vehicles. They were all very eager to meet the Lord, and their beautiful faces were decorated with dazzling earrings, which enhanced the beauty of their foreheads. Expert dramatists, artists, dancers, singers, historians, genealogists, and learned speakers all gave their respective contributions, being inspired by the superhuman pastime of the Lord. Thus they proceeded on and on. Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, approached them and offered due honor and respect to each and every one of the friends, relatives, citizens, and all others who came to receive and welcome him. The Almighty Lord greeted everyone present by bowing his head, with exchanging greeting, embracing, shaking hands, looking and smiling, giving the assurances and awarding benedictions even to the lowest in rank. Then the Lord personally entered the city, accompanied by elderly relatives and invalid brahmanas with their wives, all offering benedictions and singing the glories of the Lord. Others also praised the glories of the Lord. When Lord Krishna passed over the public roads, all the ladies from the respectable families of Dwaraka went up to the roofs of their palaces just to have a look at the Lord. They considered this to be the greatest festival. The inhabitants of Dwaraka were regularly accustomed to look upon the reservoir of all beauty, the infallible Lord, yet they were never satiated. The Lord's chest is the abode of the goddess of fortune. His moon-like face is the drinking vessel for eyes which hanker after all that is beautiful. His arms are the resting places for the administrative demigods, and his lotus feet are the refuge of pure devotees who never talk or sing of any subject except his lordship. As the Lord passed along the public road of Dwaraka, his head was protected from the sunshine by a white umbrella. White feathered fans moved in semicircles and showers of flowers fell upon the road. His yellow garments and garlands of flowers made it appear as if a dark cloud were surrounded simultaneously by sun, moon, lightning, and rainbows. After entering the house of his father, he was embraced by the mothers present, and the Lord offered his obeisances unto them by placing his head at their feet. The mothers were headed by his real mother Devaki. The mothers, after embracing their son, sat him on their laps. Due to pure affection, milk sprang from their breast. They were overwhelmed with delight, and the tears from their eyes wetted the Lord. Thereafter, the Lord entered his palaces, which were perfect to the fullest extent. His wives lived in them, and they numbered over 16,000. Lord Krishna has 16,108 wives, and for each and every one of them, there was a fully equipped palace, complete with necessary compounds and gardens. All the palaces were made of the best marble stone. They were illuminated by jewels and decorated by curtains and carpets of velvet and silk, nicely bedecked and embroidered with gold lace. The personality of Godhead means one who is full with all power, all energy, all opulences, all beauties, all knowledge, and all renunciation. Therefore, in the palaces of the Lord, there was nothing wanting for fulfilling all desires of the Lord. Lord is unlimited, and therefore his desires are also unlimited, and the supply is also is unlimited. The queens of Lord Krishna rejoiced within their minds to see their husband home after a long period abroad. The queens got up at once from their seats and the meditations. As was socially customary, they covered their faces shyly and looked about coyly. The inseparable ecstasy was so strong that the queens who were shy first embraced the Lord in the innermost recesses of their hearts. Then they embraced him visually, and then they sent their sons to embrace him, which is equal to personal embracing. But who chief among the Bhrigus, though they tried to restrain their feelings, they inadvertently shed tears. Although Lord Sri Krishna was constantly by their sides as well as exclusively alone, his feet appeared to them to be newer and newer. The goddess of fortune, although by nature always restless and moving, could not quit the Lord's feet. So what woman can be detached from those feet, having once taken shelter of them? The Lord was specified after killing those kings who were burdensome to the earth. They were puffed up with their military strengths, their horses, elephants, chariots, infantry, etc. He himself was not a party in the fight. He simply created hostility between the powerful the administrators, and they fought amongst themselves. He was like the wind which causes friction between bamboos and so sparks a fire. That Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, appeared on this planet by his internal potency and enjoyed himself amongst competent women as if he were engaging in mundane affairs. Although the queen's beautiful smiles and furtive glances were all spotless and exciting, and although they could conquer Cupid himself by making him give up his bow in frustration, and although even the tolerant Shiva could fall victim to them, still, despite all their magical feats and attractions, they could not agitate the senses of the Lord. The common the materialistic conditioned souls speculate that the Lord is one of them. Out of their ignorance, they think that the Lord is affected by matter, although he is unattached. This is the divinity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is not affected by the qualities of material nature, even though he is in contact with them. Similarly, the devotees who have taken shelter of the Lord do not become influenced by the material qualities. The simple and delicate women truly thought that Lord Sri Krishna, their beloved husband, followed them and was dominated by them. They were unaware of the extent of the glories of their husband, as the atheists are unaware of him as the supreme controller. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. That was so great. It was so beautiful. I just love this description of Dwarka. You know, we always think there's so many beautiful things in nature and someone's house we go to and we see something very nice. You know, it may feel like, oh, it's so beautiful. But comparing to the, you know, how this description of Dwarka city is, how the palaces are of the queens, and then even their love, right, for Krishna, it's just so pure and so, it's very beautiful. I just love how you know everything is described in this chapter. So thank you so much for you know making this all revive in my memory again. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji, for giving me an opportunity to present this chapter. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, devotees. Next we have for chapter 12, and that is going to be glorified by Amish Prabhuji. So Amish Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, everyone. I hope
Hare
you can
Krishna.
hear me well, Mataji.
Yes, we can, Prabhu.
Is my
Yes,
voice
we
good?
can.
Okay, good. I'm using a headset, so thank you very much. And thank you again for the opportunity. I'm very pleased to be here and very honored to talk about this chapter. So this chapter is about the birth of Emperor Maharaj Parikshit. And, you know, so I had the fortune of going back and revisiting, you know, the text from our reading group. And basically the chapter is, you know, it has 36 shloks. And they are kind of, you know, broken down by, you know, how he was born, how he was saved from Brahmastra by the mercy of the Lord. And, you know, King Yudhishthir, you know, performing the sacrifices and, you know, rewarding the Brahmanas, and then inquiring from the Brahmanas about the fortune and about the future of Maharaj Parikshit. So, so this is a very beautiful chapter, which goes into details of all these aspects that I just mentioned. So, I will read, you know, most of it, but most of the text, but, you know, maybe in some text, I'll just read some of the selected portions. So to begin with, you know, the first three texts where the sages who are assembled at Naimisaranya, they inquired with Sutta Goswami about, they wanted to all learn about Maharaj Parikshit's birth and about his qualities. So, so those are the first three texts. And you know, the text 4 to 6 where you know, it's about Maharaj Yudhishthir, how, you know, he was you know, how he had relinquished everything and how he had basically become, his fame was widely known. And, even the celestial planets, his news about his deeds had reached the celestial planets as well. So these are the texts from 4 to 6. Um, text number 7 to 11. So these are beautiful texts that I would like to read. So this is about Maharaj Parikshit being in the womb of Uttara, and how he was saved. So text number 7 goes like this: O son of Brigu, when child Parikshit, the great fighter, was in the womb of his mother Uttara and was suffering from the burning heat of the Brahmastra thrown by Ashwatthama, he could observe the Supreme Lord coming to him. And the next text is a very beautiful description of the Lord. So, he, the Lord, was only thumb high, but he was all transcendental. He had a very beautiful, blackish, infallible body, and he wore a dress of lightning yellow and a helmet of blazing gold. Thus, he was seen by the child. And this is just picturizing this in our own minds itself is so beautiful. The Lord was enriched with 4 hands, earrings of molten gold, and eyes blood red with fury. As he loitered about, his club constantly encircled him like a shooting star. The Lord was thus engaged in vanquishing the radiation of the Brahmastra, just as the sun evaporates a drop of dew. He was observed by the child, who thought about who he was. While thus being observed by the child, the Supreme Lord Personality of Godhead, the super soul of everyone and the protector of the righteous, who stretches in all directions and who is unlimited by time and space, disappeared at once. So Maharaj Parikshit in the womb of his mother was able to visualize and see the Lord, with all these beautiful, decorations. And, and I was actually connecting this with a text later in this chapter, where Maharaj Parikshit, the Parikshit name itself means examiner. And what it means is that he was constantly searching because he saw this glimpse and he was wondering who he saw. And in his entire lifetime, he, in his quest, he constantly searched for the Lord. And so that's very, very beautiful narration here. The text 12 to 15. So this is about his birth. Text 12. When the planets aligned, Maharaj Parikshit took birth. King Yudhishthir was very satisfied, and he had all the ceremonies performed, and all the brahmanas attended, and King Yudhishthir donated all the charity to the brahmanas, gave them gold, land, elephants, horses, villages, food, etc. And the brahmanas were very satisfied with the charities of King Yudhishthir. So the next the section of the chapter. So this is text 16 to 29. So most of this text basically talk about King Yudhishthir inquiring with all the brahmanas about the future of how Maharaj Parikshit will be like, and his basically his how just how he will be, and what good he will do in this world. So I'll read a few texts from this section, 16 to 29, and so the 16, the Brahmanas said that the spotless sun has been restored by the all-powerful and all-pervasive Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, in order to oblige you. He was saved when he was doomed to be destroyed by an irresistible supernatural weapon. For this reason, the child will be well known in the world as one who is protected by the personality of Godhead. O most fortunate one, there is no doubt that this child will become a first-class devotee and will be qualified with all the good qualities. So next, King Yudhishthir inquired, about whether he will be as saintly as a king, will be very pious, will be famous and glorified, and will be like his ancestors, who belong to this great royal family. And so the Brahmanas, described, how they saw Maharaj Parikshit will be like in future. So they described him, they compared him with many other great personalities. They said he will be exactly like Lord Ram, the personality of Godhead, and the son of Maharaj Dasharatha. The child will be a donor of charity and protector of the surrendered. He will be as good as Arjun, and he will be as irresistible as fire and as unsurpassable as the ocean. He will be as strong as a lion, as worthy a shelter as the Himalaya mountains. He will be forbearing like the earth and as tolerant as his parents. He will be like his grandfather Yudhishthir or Brahma in equanimity of mind. He will be beneficent like the Lord Shiv, and he will be resort of everyone like the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan. The Brahmanas further, went and said that he will be almost as good as Lord Sri Krishna by following in his footsteps. So this is very important. He will be as good as Lord Sri Krishna. So that is how we compared him. And in religion, he will be like Maharaj Yayati. So he gave some other examples, but mainly he said he will be. They said he will be a staunch devotee of Lord Krishna, like Prahlad Maharaj, who performed many Ashwamedh sacrifices. He will be father of kings, who will be like sages for world peace and for sake of religion. He will be the chastiser of the upstarts and the quarrelsome. And then they talk about how his end, he will meet his end. So his end will come with the bite of a snake bird sent by the son of Brahmana, and that will make him free from all the material attachment, and will surrender into the personality of Godhead. So the Brahmanas further said that after inquiring about proper self-knowledge from the son of Vyasadeva, who will be a great philosopher, he will renounce all material attachment and achieve a life of fearlessness. Thus, those who were expert in astrological knowledge and in performance of the birth ceremony instructed King Yudhishthir about the future history of his child. Then, being sumptuously remunerated, they all returned to their respective homes. So, and then the next text 30 through text 36 is the further narration of what King Yudhishthir did. Further narration that Maharaj Parikshit, how his name meant examiner, and how he would come to examine all human beings in his search after the personality whom he saw before his birth. Thus, he would come to constantly contemplate him. And then, the last few texts talk about King Yudhishthir wanted to perform a horse sacrifice to get free from sins incurred from fighting with, his family members. But he did not have enough funds, and so his brothers, as advised by Lord Krishna, got collected sufficient riches from the north left by King Maruta. And with that wealth, the king could procure all the material that was needed for 3 horse sacrifices. And, it pleased the Lord. And even Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, being invited to the sacrifices by Maharaj Yudhishthir, saw to it that they were performed by the qualified Brahmanas, who are twice born. And after that, for the pleasure of the relatives, the Lord remained a few months with them. So finally, Lord Krishna leaves, bade farewell to King Yudhishthir, Draupadi, and other relatives, and started for the city of Dwarka, accompanied by Arjuna and other members of the Yadu dynasty. So this is the end of the chapter 12. Hare Krishna. I hope I did enough justice to the description here.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. That was very great. It's just so great to refresh these readings that we've done, especially with now considering we're in Canto 4 and reading this again. It's just so beautiful. Thank you for thanks everyone for your services. This is just amazing to me. And how Parikshit Maharaj, I cannot believe how great it is, right? He actually saw the Lord within the womb, and he's been searching everywhere for who he saw when he was in the womb. how strong that memory is, because we don't even know how it is in the womb, but how strong his memory is. It just tells us how pious and how great he was, that he was able to even remember this that happened in the womb. And then also how Brahmanas, Yudhishthira Maharaj was asking Brahmanas for how his future is and everything, right? So as a grandfather, and it's just, I always heard from, one of my mentors has always said this too, that, we can read people are so, they like all this astrology and everything, but then people, when something is bad, they start thinking like, oh no, let's see how we can fix this. Is there some kind of way around this? And then people, those brahmanas may give even some kind of, mantra or something to make sure that bad stuff does not happen. But in here, even though they knew that he would be actually, when the snake bites, due to snake bite, he'll renounce everything and leave the material world and everything. They didn't say, oh, how can we fix this? Like how can we reverse this or something, right? So it's always, I always heard that we can read the astrology that is written in our life, but we should not be changing it, because what happens is when we change something, when we try to change something, it is just, it comes back stronger. So because it may not come back in this lifetime or something, but it will come back in some other lifetime stronger. So it's always good to, accept it and become devotee, because when you become devotees, all the karmic accounts really just wash off. Krishna, until now you're actually bounded by karma until you're not a devotee. But as soon as you become a devotee, then Krishna takes away all your karma. So there's no such thing as these things then. So I was just remembering all that and reflecting on this chapter. So thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Mata.
Thank you. So does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns, realizations that they would like to share? We have about 20 minutes.
Yes, Mataji. One thing I remember when we were reading is, it starts with Yudhishthira Maharaj, the glorification, Mother Kunti Devi, Bhishma Dev, now Parikshit, one after another, they show their character, their examples, how they lived, one after another. I remember, oh my God, now Yudhishthira, no, Parikshit is even, greater than, Yudhishthira's personality. That's how I felt, one after another. So after Ramesh Prabhu is reading that, I remember that again, is how he lives his life. Really like that. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Yeah, such great devotees. The stories of all the, the Bhagavatam is just so full of nectar with all the devotee stories. It's so nectarian. The more you read, the more you get attached to it. It's just like that. Anyone else?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Rachna Mataji and Amish Prabhu, for taking time to enlighten us again. It's like a refreshing again for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, thank you, Rachna Mataji, and thank you, Amish Prabhuji. This was great. So greatly appreciate your service.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Okay. If no one else has any other comments or realizations or concerns or questions, we can meet again next week, same time. So happy Ekadashi for tomorrow, everyone. Happy early Ekadashi. And we'll meet again next week. Thank you so much, devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.